Alright, here is my third example of how I think the pyramids may have been built. I've had two previous videos on this, and I think this is pretty much the second idea. I'm just showing it in a more of a three-dimensional way of showing it. Alright, so this is the mountain. Alright, this isn't here yet. This is where it's gonna be. This is like a three-dimensional representation of the final pyramid that you're going to be building. Alright, over here it's kind of like a rudimentary drawing of a mountain. It's bigger than the pyramid that you're starting with. That's probably one of the main things to take away from this, is that it needs to be probably needs to be bigger than the pyramid itself, even though the pyramid's pretty big. I think it's something like 480 feet high or something like that. So anyway, you start with the mountain, and I just kind of drew levels. So anyway, I mean, assuming that they might start at about the same level, like if the ground was totally flat, you know. So you'd probably actually want to start like a ways up. And so let's see. Really, these early levels probably wouldn't. I didn't think about it, but these early levels probably really wouldn't matter because you leave them as they are. Yeah, I didn't think about that. But let's just say that you start about at this dark blue level. So what you do is, the first thing you got to do is you got to build. Oops, the wrong thing. You got to build a like a ramp coming down. And it's got to go all the way to the ground. Alright, so that's this is basically a ramp. It's on the face of this pyramid. And well, let's see, actually let's undo that. It probably wouldn't be a bad idea if you made it sort of like a triangular shape, something like that. Then the other side would, and it'd be like a certain amount, certain size wide. Alright, and then let me draw that. Okay, so the ramp's coming down from this level. It's coming down at an angle like maybe 30 or 40 degrees, somewhere in that range. Of course, they're Egyptians, so they know their stuff, so they'd make it at an optimal angle. And see, then on this level, so this is the level that you would start excavating the you'd excavate the round boulders. So let me see if I could draw. So let's put a round boulder there. Alright, so you get a round boulder and it would roll, it would roll this way. Alright, so it rolled down the ramp. Once you excavated it and moved it over, rolled it over here, and then it would roll down the ramp. So it's rolling down the ramp. Alright, so coming down the ramp, and then it gets all the way down here. and then once it hits the level ground, then it rolls over here, and basically just rolls. And then, like, you'd probably have to get the guys on it and push it, but it would roll all the way into here, and they'd push it to wherever they needed it, you know. And at some point they would, you know, it would stop, and then they would turn it into a square, you know, to get the sculptors or chiselers or whatever you want to call them, masons, whatever you want to call them, and they turn it from a round stone into a square stone, you know, like a big cube, and it would, at that point it would be almost exactly where they needed it, you know, like just feet away from where they needed it, and then they wouldn't need too much. It wouldn't be too much effort to move it from where it was at that point to where they needed it, and so then they would just push it to where they needed it, and so there you go, you know. So you got the stone, and you just keep doing that. Keep pulling the stones over here, making them round, just rolling them down the ramp over here to the pyramid that you want to build, and then turn them into squares and set them all on the bottom. So then at that point, you've got the first level of the pyramid. So just kind of draw it like that. And this is obviously not to scale or anything, but I think you get the idea. Alright, and then what you can do, let me erase this stuff here. Try to erase this. So then let's say you got the first level done, so now you need to start working on this second level. So you got all the first level done. Let me see if I can draw the other, like the three-dimensional part of the second level. Okay, so you got the first level done. Alright, now you want to start working on the second level. Well, you need to build the ramp higher, because the ramp goes to the ground, but you need it to be like 1 cubic or whatever, or 1 cube off the ground. So you gotta build the ramp higher. So I guess what you could do is you could maybe start with the same ramp and then just widen it, but then like say stop it about there, and then or actually let's see, let me undo that. You could start it at the same side and then have it maybe extend it a little bit farther, and then go to there, and then this side you could maybe build up on this side, and so it would be that much higher. Alright, and then you could, let's see, I don't know, I'm messing it up here. Let's see, let me back it up here. I didn't do it right. Let me see, how about do it this way? You come out, let me just, I don't know, let me just draw it all the way to the edge. That might be simpler. So you draw it all the way like that, so that the stone would roll, and then like this is basically, so basically you would fill up this area, just this area here, with more, like basically, well, you wouldn't need to add any to this and like I said before, this would be covered in kind of like it'd be like a road of limestone coming down, so that when the stones rolled, they wouldn't just fall into the sand. They'd be actually rolling on hard limestone. All right, so this will be a new road built. They'd have to raise it up from the ground level that it ends on and up to a higher level, so that it ended on, say, like, a level even with the second level. All right, so then they would build up a new road up here. They could remove these and build them up to here on this, make a new road up here. All right, so then when they rolled the stones, they would roll all the way down to the second level, and then they could start, once the stones rolled onto the second level here, then they could turn them from a round stone into the square stones again on the second level. And this is a big mountain over here, so it has a lot of excavation potential for removing stones from. There's got to be, from what I recall, it said there's millions of stones in this pyramid. So this has to be a pretty big mountain over here. So anyway, yeah, they create a new ramp going down and keep excavating. All right, let me remove this stone now. All right, so they got that. All right, so once they get the second level done, all right, so they got the second level done. So let's draw it. Kind of draw it. So they got that level done. All right. Okay, so they got that level done. Get rid of this stuff. Okay, so now they need to build the ramp up higher again. All right. See, building these ramps is basically just sand and then a road on top, and the road is just blocks of limestone. But they don't need to be like, they're not like the blocks that the pyramid's made of. The blocks the pyramid's made of is like tens of tons, like many tons. But the blocks that the road's made of is only like 1 ton at most, probably less, like maybe half a ton, like 1,000 pounds. I mean, you get 10 guys, they can lift 1,000 pounds, So that's what you're creating the road from, are 1,000-pound blocks of stone. All right, and just a line of them coming down. They're like maybe half a foot thick, and like maybe, I don't know, like 3 foot by 5 foot. I don't know how much limestone weighs. Like how much would a limestone block that was, say, 3 feet wide by 6 feet long by half a foot thick, like how much would that weigh? I don't know. But anyway, so when you gotta do this third level, they have to build the thing up to the higher level. They've been using limestone from this level just around the edges, so now they've probably used so much to make these first 2 levels that they need to move up to this next level to get more limestone from it. So let's use purple. So they move up. Alright, so they move up here, and they got to build the ramp up higher again. Alright, so it goes up to here. Alright, so it goes up to there. So a new ramp even higher. Alright. And so then they, excavate stone from this level and make them round boulders. Don't have to be perfectly round, but they need to be round enough to roll. And roll them down this ramp to this level, the third level. You're only up to the third level, and then once they get them over here and roll them to where they need them or close to it, then they square them off like this, and then just push them like 10 feet to where they need them. So most of the job of moving the stone has already been done by the ramp coming down and then moving it over. Alright, so then they get this third level done and then move up to the next. Alright, so they've made this level. Okay. Alright, so they made that level. The third level. So now they need to make the fourth level. So maybe if they didn't run out of stones already, they could just raise this ramp up to the next level up here, just the surface of it, so that they can get up to the next level. That would only mean raising this end of the ramp up one level of stone. So it would still start over here at the same level, but they would just raise this end up, so it wouldn't take that much in the way of resources. It'd be an effort, but raising it up just that one level over here is all it would be. And they just keep taking stones out of this, and so like each 2 levels they could like raise the ramp up on this side one level. And then after 2 levels, then they'd move up again, build up a whole new ramp. Raise the level of the ramp higher. And then once they get that done, then that level, then they'd raise up this end one level. And then, so every 2 levels you go up another and another and another and another. And then finally, when they probably get up to let's say they got up to this high, so they're not even at the very, very top of this mountain yet. Let's say they get all the way up. Let me use red over here. So let's say they get up about this high, and they're like way up to this level. Alright, so let's draw this out. Let's see. This is the 3-dimensional view of it. Alright, so they're at this level of the mountain, and they still have a ramp coming down near the top of the pyramid. Like this would be like however many rows is in the pyramid. I mean, there's got to be 30 or 40, I would imagine. I'd have to look at it. I'm sure everybody that really knows about the pyramid would know how many levels of stone are in the or make up, like how many levels that you got. So anyway, so they keep doing the excavation, making them round, rolling them down over here, then turn them into square blocks. And so they'd have to raise it up a little bit to get to the very, very top, and then at the very top, they could make the very last, piece of stone that's needed, like a big triangular capstone at the top here, and then they're done, and then pretty much all of this would be sand, and then at the very top would be a road connecting the mountain to the top of the pyramid. And at that point they would have to disassemble all of this in between the mountain and the pyramid. If they were making other pyramids, like there was the Pyramid of Giza, I think that there's two other ones. There was like Khufu, I think. There was three of them. There was Giza was the biggest one, and then Khufu I think was another one, and there was another one I think that started with the letter K. I forget the name of it. But anyway, so they made like three of them real close to each other, and they actually look like stars in the belt of Orion, from what I recall. So anyway, but that's my idea. Basically take excavate stones from the mountain over here, build ramps so that you can make the stones round so that you can roll them down the ramp to where you want to put them up the pyramid, and then carve them into squares and then place them exactly where you want them for the pyramid, and then just keep moving the ramps up higher and higher to make the pyramid taller and taller. It's almost like a big game of Minecraft. Sort of, you know. I mean, the blocks in the pyramid are just blocks, you know. They're just building blocks. You can't just lift them up higher and higher on the pyramid. In my opinion, you can't really do that, because they're too big and heavy. Somehow, in my opinion, the best method is to bring them from a higher elevation. Whether you're pushing them as squares or rolling them as round boulders, which to me round boulders would be much easier, because it's much easier to roll something than to push something that's flat on the bottom, because there'd be a hell of a lot of friction. If you're rolling something, you have very little friction, and friction is, you know, causes things to not want to move. So, you know, having them round to begin with, it makes sense, makes a lot of sense to me. And then once you get them to where you want them, then make them square, you know, and then you just like you got them where you want them, so you don't have to move them as, you know, as blocks that don't want to move, you know. Once you got them square, they don't want to move, you know. Once they have a big flat bottom, they don't want to move anymore. So anyway, that's the idea. I just wanted to expand upon the second video I made about this, this is kind of like a three-dimensional view of that second idea. So anyway, hope you enjoy it. I hope you understand it. I just had these thoughts about this. It's a subject that I've been interested in, and I've seen that there are different ideas about how these pyramids were built, and you know, nobody knows how they were built, because there's no proven evidence for how they were built. You know, it was so long ago that there's nothing written down about how they were built, other than other than hieroglyphs. There's like no written evidence, but as far as I know, there's no hieroglyphs that show how the pyramids were built. They do show a lot of things, but as far as showing how the pyramids were built, I don't think they show that. So we just have to try to figure it out, come up with ideas and conjecture, and try to analyze how to do it. So the Egyptians were smart. They knew a lot of things, and so it just makes sense to me that the smartest thing to do is to make them round to begin with, so that you can roll them instead of trying to push something that's flat on the bottom. And also it's easier to roll something down slope than to roll it uphill. So you don't want to be trying to push something uphill that's really real big and heavy. The worst thing you want to do, or at worst, you want to push it on a level ground. I admit that is also a possibility, that they could be moving up farther and farther up this mountain with the big ramp going pretty much just level. Creating the stones, making them round, and then just pushing them on a level ramp, not a ramp, but a level elevated elevated area, off the ground. Once when you're moving up and up and up, I guess you could call it like a mound with the road on top. It would need to get higher and higher, so you would need to keep adding more, making the slope, or not the slope, but this mound between the mountain and the pyramid. It would need to get higher and higher, just like I explained. I showed it as a sloped ramp, just simply because that would allow gravity to do a lot of the work. And they obviously knew that gravity existed. They didn't know the science behind gravity, I don't guess, but you just drop something and you can see that gravity exists. So they knew everybody knows about gravity. It's easy to figure out and see. All you gotta do is open your eyes and you can see what gravity is. So they know that and I would imagine that they knew about wheels, because they had chariots that had wheels, so the Egyptians had wheels. And if they had wheels, they know that something round rolls, and they know about gravity, so they would know that if you make a round stone and you put it on a slope, it will roll down the slope, so that you don't have to push it. All you gotta do is, you have to initially push it onto the ramp, and then if it has a hard road on top, it will roll. And maybe they could build like side rails on the top of the slope or whatever, and so that it wouldn't fall off the slope, and it would just roll down and then get down to where the pyramid is, and it would come to a rest. Maybe they could have some sort of contraption to not only guide the stone, but also control the speed. Maybe they didn't make the ramp too steep. They could have tested to see that what angle the slope needed to be, so that it wouldn't go too fast or too slow. Maybe if you built it at, like, say 10 degrees or 15 degrees, something. So there would probably be some optimum angle at which it would roll at an optimum speed so that it wouldn't go out of control, and it wouldn't roll too slow, and it wouldn't roll too fast. It'd be like the Goldilocks, the Goldilocks slope, like it's not too slow, not too fast, it's just right. So it would roll, they could have a controlling contraption, some sort of they could have it manned with people in front and behind, so that they could control the speed a little bit to some extent. Plus, if the slope wasn't too steep, it wouldn't be too difficult. So it almost be like a big wagon surrounding the stone or something. Like they could build like a wagon with wheels on the sides, and they could roll the stone into the wagon and then lock it in, and that would start over here, and then they just roll down the slope, with the stone in the middle of it rolling on, like the stone would be rolling on the floor, on the ground. Obviously they wouldn't be carrying the stone, but they would just roll it with the wagon down the slope, and maybe even have like oxen or something to even help them, like you could have manned oxen or something. I don't know, but just to get it from over here to down here. I mean, I could keep thinking of ideas all day long, I suppose. But anyway, you're just rolling it from over here to down here, however you did that, and without it going out of control. All right, so that's my idea. I hope you enjoyed the video. This is a topic that's interesting to me, because we know that these people existed, and we know that they created these pyramids. It's just we don't know exactly how they did it. So there's a big fascination with how they did it, and people coming up with ideas. And so I just thought I had my idea. I didn't really like the ideas other people had, especially when they're talking about pushing flat bottom stones up a grade. To me, that's crazy talk. Like if you're talking about like building ramps going around the pyramid, going up and up and up and up and up, and you're trying to push a stone up a ramp, to me that's crazy talk. I mean, just give that a try and see. I mean, a 20-ton stone, you're building a 20-ton stone like somewhere over here, and you're pushing it across flat ground. That's hard enough. And then you build a giant ramp to go up around the pyramid as it's getting taller and taller. I mean, give me a break. That's ridiculous. Why would smart people like these Egyptians that are dreaming up this thing, why would they come up with an idea like that? These people are smart. They wouldn't do that. They'd use gravity to help them, and they'd build the stones round so that they would roll and make it easier to get them from over here to over here. I mean, don't you think that they would do that? They don't need to make them square until they get them over here. They can have them round over here, and then just roll them over here. I mean, you wouldn't build a car with square wheels, and then try to push the car over the ground with square wheels, would you? No. You build a car with a round wheels so that it'll roll, and you can get somewhere. So anyway, that's just my idea. So I hope you enjoyed it, and that's the video. Thank you. Have a good evening.